Hey guys, how's it going? I'm XYZCruncher. As you can see from looking behind me, I'm a fan of collecting video games. I've been collecting for a while now, maybe a couple years, possibly even longer, and slowly but surely I've been expanding my collection and I've learned a few lessons along the way. So after making that video where I showed what I bought after spending about $3 on a bunch of fucking games, because I'm just mad like that, I realised that I kind of enjoy that format of video and I wanted to break away from the usual review, rant and discussion style video, although this is in a similar format, but I thought I'd spice up the content and maybe make this a semi-regular thing and just kind of see where it goes. I'm probably not going to do it too often, but I thought why not, because I did enjoy the format, and yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm going to go into different aspects of collecting, and I'm kind of going to give pointers as to where you can go. I'm going to try and cover all bases. If there's something I don't cover in this video, there'll probably be a future video that I'm going to cover those aspects in. And yeah, let's just get stuck in. First off, where should you buy games from? eBay and Amazon are a great alternative to most main game distributors like GameStop, Granger Games here in the UK, and CEX, as well as Target, Walmart, places like that. Mainly because you can get games for much cheaper than you would at those particular places, especially like newer games. Newer games can go for dirt cheap sometimes. Like you could find a game that's like £40 here on the game site in the UK, and then go on Amazon and you've found the same game fully in boxed for like 20 quid, £20. But yeah, it's a great alternative. And also there's bundles a lot of the times if you're looking for a certain particular console to buy, if you're a broke college student or uni student, or you're just kind of down on your luck and you're in a bad place right now, but you still kind of have enough money left to buy some games and you want to spend your money wisely. Looking for bundles is a great idea. Again, eBay and Amazon are great for that. The bundle deals on Game and GameStop, while good, it's usually only for new consoles. I don't think there's ever been any for, like, say, a Sega Genesis or whatever on GameStop. So unless it's like a rare occurrence, I don't think you'll find one on a major distributor of games. So going on Amazon, mainly eBay for this, because you will find actual bundles and you'll be able to see what's going on. With Amazon, you've kind of got to look for that particular console. So say for example PS2 or a PS3, you'll kind of look on the listings and you'll see the description and it will say it comes with a free game. But Amazon's a bit ambiguous with it. You don't have to provide a picture a lot of the time, since it's just the product and then the listing of different buying options. So Amazon is a bit shaky with that, but for the most part when I'm buying individual games or individual consoles, I will go for Amazon. I've rarely gone for eBay because I usually don't get bundles, because a lot of the time you can either get ripped off or you just get a bunch of games that you're never going to play. So it's really up to you which route you go down. Second, which console should you buy, or what handheld should you buy? This is kind of a messy one, because if you're dead set on becoming a modern gamer and want to like play modern games, this video is about collecting and also a buying guide for kind of gaming on a budget, I guess, to steal some other people's ideas. Buying an older console is definitely a lot cheaper and a lot better in the long term for you than buying a brand new console and saving up for that, because the games cost an arm and a fucking leg these days. Like, you're spending $60 on one game, whereas on a retro console or a slightly older console just a couple of generations back, you could possibly be spending like that amount on a console and like 6 games. So you've kind of got to weigh out your options. If you're not too fussed about waiting to get games and want the newer experience, and you don't like the archaic feel of maybe a PS2 game or an NES game or a Sega Genesis game, it's a great option to go down. But for my money, I'd always go down the retro route. And as you can see from behind me, I've got DS games, I've got PS1 games, I don't know if you can see, I've got PS2 games all the way down there, and yeah, GameCube down there you can see as well. yeah, going down that route has always been helpful for me. If I've been wanting to try new games, go back and play games that I missed out on during that era, because yeah, it's just a very cost-effective way to go about it, and as we're going to see in a bit, going down the cheap route is always very good. So what about those who don't want to go down the retro or semi-retro route, depending on what your definition of retro gaming is, and want to go down that more modern route of the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and possibly even Steam? While Steam isn't collecting, this is a gaming on the budget type of video too, so I want to cover all bases. And yeah, with Steam and most digital games, it is very easy to find free-to-play or demo versions of games to kind of occupy your time until you can get that big next blockbuster game, or until that next big blockbuster game you're wanting to get comes out. In my opinion, if you're wanting to collect and you are pretty down on your luck and you've not got a lot of money to your name, going down that route can be helpful. But personally, I'm not too big of a fan of digital games, and I'd rather just play something cheap. So that's why I go down the retro route, or like I'd rather play a more full experience, because a lot of cheap games or free games are kind of hit or miss, to say the least. And yeah, again, going down that route can save you a lot of money, kind of occupy your time. But again, like I said earlier, going down the more modern route isn't always the most cost-effective way, so you've got to kind of weigh out your options and maybe consider trying something new, or old in this case, and go down that retro route and maybe see if there's the grass really is greener on the other side. So what about the people wanting to go down that retro route? Well, going for any console like the PS2, PS3, DS, or Wii, if you consider those retro consoles, hell, even the NES if you want an actual retro console, going down that route is definitely a good idea, because those consoles did sell very, very, very well, so they made great numbers, and a lot of the games have become very common, especially the big blockbuster ones, the ones that you would really want. Even some of the niche, rarer games are going for dirt cheap, either because they're not of good quality, or they're just kind of, people don't realise that maybe they have a value to them, so grabbing those games can kind of like maybe net you some extra money in your pocket if you're the kind of person to down the line want to sell those games. So it's buying retro games is kind of a gamble, and kind of a black market kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. But if you're wanting to go down the GameCube kind of route, or the SNES route, or hell, sometimes even the PS1 type of route, you're kind of fucked, and you're in the same camp as the modern gamers, because a lot of the games, these consoles, maybe with the exception of the PS1, they didn't sell very well, or the games didn't sell very well, meaning a lot of the games are a lot rarer than they used to be, making them a lot more expensive than they used to be. And if you're in that camp, you're pretty much as fucked as the modern gamers, minus the bonus of having free DLC or free games, free demo type games, stuff like that. So yeah, if you're wanting to go down that route, you're gonna have to like save up a lot, or find a bundle on eBay or something that goes for a fucking steal. But yeah, let's go. I've got an example here of a console, and I chose a bunch of games of varying genres, and kind of put myself in the shoes of someone who is kind of saving up, and I put myself at a limit of £80. And yeah, I'm kind of just going to go through it and kind of explain my choices, and you'll be able to see why retro gaming and going for cheaper consoles, or consoles that you might have skipped out on, is always a good option. So the console I chose was a PS2, because I already own that console. I have a lot of experience with that console, both back in the day and still to this very day. So yeah, I thought there's no better console to go down that road with. And all of the games that I've chosen, again, I have reasons for them, and I'm going to kind of go through them and list them. And they're all games that I own in my collection and do enjoy. So yeah, you can take my word for it. These are all great options, great games, and yeah, without further ado, let's get stuck in. So obviously I have the PS2 console on its own, kind of with a controller, I believe a memory card also, and obviously all of the cables and adapters you'd need, so that is going for 38 quid. So the first game out of the list is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's a must-have for the console and it's going for £6.79. That's a little steep for a PS2 game, but this game is getting a little rarer, so if you were thinking of getting a PS2, there's a tip from me. Go and grab this game real quick, or if you're lacking it in your collection, go pick it up. But if you haven't played this game, what the fuck are you doing in real life? It's an absolute classic. It can keep you entertained for hours on hours. I'd say it is the best GTA game of all time, no doubt. And yeah, it's got hours and hours of gameplay. If you're mad enough to try and go for 100% in this game, that is about 100 to 200, possibly even 1,000 hours if you're not that competent of a gamer. Not to insult anyone, but you know, sometimes you can kind of have those moments where you're kind of stumped as to what to do if you're not looking at a guide. And yeah, it's just a great game all around, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it if you're a fan of open world style games, or if you're a fan of GTA in general and you've not played this game before. The next game is Crash to Insanity. It's going for £4. It's a great platforming game. Some people might argue that it's not as good as the original Crash trilogy. Some people actually prefer Wrath of Cortex over this game, and while I do kind of have them neck and neck, and I do have a lot of nostalgia for Wrath of Cortex, I can't deny that this game might be the better game, which is why I chose it. And it is going for quite cheaper than Wrath of Cortex, because Wrath of Cortex, at least on the PS2, is getting a lot rarer these days. And this game is a very fun platformer. It'll keep you entertained for a few hours, and if you've been playing one of those bigger games that are going to be coming up, and you kind of need a palate cleanser, platformer games are always a great palate cleanser after a big epic game, or a game that went on very long and had intense gameplay. So having Crash to Insanity on that list is a no-brainer. Great game, open world style platformer game, which was a semi-novel concept still at that time, so it's a no-brainer pretty much. Next on the list is a game from one of my favourite franchises, Dragon Quest VIII, The Journey of the Cursed King. It's going for £8.98, which is pretty much just £9. The only reason I did this because it's a lot rarer game these days. There is a 3DS remix, so if you have a 3DS, I would recommend maybe picking that up, but the graphics are about the same, I'd say. Maybe with more polished voice acting in the 3DS version from what I hear. But this game is excellent. It's considered one of the best in the Dragon Quest franchise. It's kind of neck and neck with a lot of people for 11, which is the newest installment in the franchise. And yeah, it's an all-round great game. It's an RPG. RPGs can add hundreds of hours of gameplay to any play session, and yeah, it just goes on for quite a while. It is quite an enthralling game, so if you want to sink a lot of your time into something when you're kind of off of your job, or off of uni or college or whatever, having a game like this is definitely a must-have if you're looking to game on a budget. Also, just to clear up, just in case anyone was wondering, a lot of these games might seem cheap compared to most modern games, but for PS2, at least for back when I was starting my PS2 collection in the early years, PS2 games kind of had a £1 to £3 margin where you could actually net yourself a complete in-box copy. Although PS2 games are still very cheap, so I don't want that to deter you in any way. Again, for a lot of these games it is a couple of extra quid, but for this next game it kind of I guess accentuate is the right word I'm looking for. It kind of accentuates my point as to the PS2 being one of those consoles that you can rely on to get a lot of games for it at a budget price. And yeah, without further ado, let's move on to the next one. The next game is Devil May Cry, the original one, and that's for 63p, so that is fucking dirt cheap. Although with a lot of games that go for that cheap, there is usually a pound or two for shipping or delivery or whatever. So yeah, I've always got to look out for that. I'm not including the delivery costs in the total, because Amazon usually doesn't do that until you go to checkout. And I'm not looking to buy these games since, again, I already own them. But yeah, I don't have much experience with this game, but it's kind of a hack and slash style game, kind of run and gun in a way as well too. and it's kind of it'll be a breath of fresh air. I'm trying to keep this quite a diverse list, and this game being one of the must-haves for a lot of people, kind of a cult hit game that kind of grew into something a lot more and grew into a franchise that became a hit for I believe it's Konami, maybe? Capcom, sorry. But yeah, I guess it's a must-have game, and for 63 pence, the amount of gameplay and content you get in that game, it's a no fucking brainer. I keep stressing it, but it's a no fucking brainer for a lot of these games. The next one's kind of a left field pick, because a lot of people don't know this game, but it does have a following, and it's the Warriors PS2 game. It's a licensed game that is based on a movie from 1979, and while that might sound a little stupid, it is made by Rockstar, and during that era, unless you're playing Oni, if you're playing a Rockstar game, you can guarantee it is going to be a quality game, and The Warriors does not disappoint, because it is a really, really, really good game. One of my favourites of all time. It's a beat 'em up style game. It's got quite a good story. You don't have to watch the movie to kind of get the idea of the game. It is very good, and it kind of, if you've ever watched a movie, it starts before the events of the movie, and then it kind of goes through the movie too, so you kind of get that prequel treatment there, and it is just a really good game. You can get hours and hours of gameplay. I've logged like 200 hours on that game, and that's me trying to 100% it on the hardest difficulty, and yeah, for a beat 'em up game, again, no fucking brainer. The next game on my list is Ratchet and Clank, the original one, going for £4.15. Again, I'm reusing that fucking term again and again, but no brainer. It's a platformer run and gun game, really fun, great humour. I'm probably going to review this game at some point because it's just that good of a fucking game. It's an all-time classic, must-have for the console. If you're a fan of platformer games and you've never played a Ratchet game, the first one is the obvious place to start, but it really is just one of those games you can like not even have any context with, and you could jump into any random level in the game and have fucking hours and hours of fun. And yeah, just fucking get on that game. Next is Simpsons Hit and Run. It needs no introduction, and it's going for £3.85. That is a pretty good price, much like most of these prices that I've managed to snag these games for. And yeah, it's just a great game. And finally we have Tony Hawk's Underground, the first one, for £2.94. All of these are complete in box, by the way, so that is amazing. And yeah, Tony Hawk's Underground, again, needs no introduction, and this video's probably gone on long enough, and you don't need me raving about every game. So yeah, all great quality games. I've personally handpicked them, and they'd probably go really well in your collection and keep you entertained for hours and hours. And the total actually comes to £75.69. My limit for the amount I was spending was £80, so obviously not including delivery, although delivery will probably add maybe £1 or £2 to the total, so that's not a lot. But that for that amount of hours, for games of that quality, again, no fucking brainer, because this game is these games are going to keep you entertained for hours, and it just proves the quality of the PS2, in my opinion. So now that I'm done dick sucking the PS2 and overusing the same term over and over again, what about genres? What genres are good for collectors, especially new collectors wanting a bunch of games to play? And in my opinion, while it's not a genre for everyone, RPGs are the way to go. You can log many hours into those games and still enjoy yourself a lot. And yeah, RPGs are a great way. Open world games are another great way to kind of spend your money, because again, they're kind of like RPGs in the way they kind of have that big expansive world, and they can kind of give you hours upon hours of gameplay, and that's really what you want. You want value for money, and nothing gives you bang for your buck like open world and RPG games. An open world RPG game, that just fucking doubles it in some instances. So no fucking brainer. Anyway guys, I've been XYZCruncher. I'm sweating like a pig because it is boiling in this fucking room. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, share, comment, do all of that shit, because every little bit helps and it gets me that one bit closer to doing this as a fucking career, and that is ultimately what I want. And yeah, again, I'll try and make this a series. It'll probably be a little more planned and a little more fluid next time, but I think I did a decent job with this video. Just let me know what you think, and yeah, again, subscribe, it does help me out a lot. Every little bit helps. Share the video with a friend. I'll probably start uploading a little more on my second channel. I've got a couple videos in the pipeline, but I'm kind of trying to fine tune them because I will be uploading a lot less on my second channel. So I kind of want the quality to be there. Not that I don't want the quality to be here for the main channel, but yeah, you get what I mean. But enough rambling out of me. I've been XYZCruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. I'm out. Peace.